Welcome to Clear Minds. I was a couple years sober and I was still completely miserable. I hadn't touched a drink in a few years, but my life was filled with irritability, anger, and this deep, gnawing feeling of being unfulfilled. I was what you called a dry drunk, and I had no clue that simply getting sober was only the starting line. It's a term for someone who's quit drinking, but is still wrestling with all the unresolved issues that led to addiction. Today, I want to share the brutal but absolutely necessary lessons I learned to finally find emotional sobriety and become the person I am now. For years, I was just white knuckling my way through life. I honestly thought that not drinking was the finish line. I'd done the impossible, hadn't I? But my life didn't feel like the prize I was promised. I was restless, I was impatient, and to be honest, a total nightmare to be around. My family and friends saw it, even when I refused to admit it. They tell me I was more distant and irritable than when I was drinking. I was sober in my body, but my emotions were still a complete mess. I was stuck playing the victim, blaming everyone and everything for my own unhappiness. I just couldn't see that the problem wasn't out there, it was inside me. I was sober, but I wasn't in recovery. And that's a really dangerous place to be because when you feel that constant dissatisfaction, it's a very short walk back to the bottle. The real truth was, I hadn't learned how to live life on life's terms. My turning point wasn't some big dramatic event. It was more of a slow, grinding realization that I couldn't live like that anymore. Here I was, sober, with nothing to show for it but a trail of broken relationships and a profound sense of emptiness. I finally had to look in the mirror and admit that just not drinking wasn't going to cut it. I had to change everything. I had to learn how to live all over again, but this time without my crutch. That's when my real journey, the one into emotional sobriety, truly began. And it started with a few but brutal lessons. The first and toughest lesson was learning to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. For so many years, any negative feeling, anxiety, boredom, anger, was my cue to escape. Now, in sobriety, all those feelings were still there, but my escape hatch was gone. I had to learn to just sit with my own discomfort, to actually feel the anger, the sadness, and the fear, and trust that it wouldn't break me. I learned that feelings are just visitors. They show up and eventually they leave. The more I let them pass through without fighting them, the less power they had over me. Numbing out never actually solves the problem. It just puts the pain on layaway and makes it bigger when it finally comes due. The next huge thing I had to learn was how to say no. As an addict, I was a chronic people pleaser, absolutely terrified of being rejected or disliked. This meant I was always stretching myself too thin, getting into situations that drained me, and then feeling bitter about it later. Emotional sobriety taught me that setting healthy boundaries is a non negotiable part of staying sober. It's not about being selfish, it's about self preservation. I had to start letting go of people in situations that were toxic to my recovery, no matter how tough it was. Realizing my limits and protecting my own peace wasn't a sign of weakness. It was the very foundation of my new strength. If any of this is hitting home for you, that feeling of being sober but not really being free, let me know down in the comments. I promise, you're not the only one who has felt this way. The next lesson was the most important one and comes down to humility. I had to stop expecting the world to bend to my will and just start accepting it is for what it is. This meant letting go of a lifetime of resentments. It meant I had to stop comparing my journey to everyone else's and just focus on my own path. For the longest time, I thought sobriety was a punishment, a life of just missing out. But emotional sobriety helped me see it for what it is, a gift I choose to give myself every single day. Life doesn't magically get easy just because you're sober, but you do get the tools to handle the hard parts without shattering. I learned to take that crucial pause before reacting, to laugh at my own dumb mistakes, and to find beauty in the small, simple moments. So, what does my life look like today? It's unrecognizable. It's not perfect by any means, but there's a calmness to it. The war I was fighting inside of myself is finally over. I've become a softer, more intentional person. The brutal truth is that emotional sobriety isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifetime of work. It's about so much more than just putting down the drink. It's about picking up the tools you need to build a life that you don't need to escape from. The journey from being a dry drunk to being emotionally sober is the real difference between just surviving and actually thriving. It's hard work, and there's no doubt about it, but it's the work that will finally set you free. If this video helped you in any way, please consider subscribing and share it with anyone who think they might need to hear this. And if you're ready to start your own journey, I've put some resources in the description below. Just remember, every single day you choose recovery is a victory. Keep going.